Morning, everybody. Good morning. Good morning, Torbay. We've had a frenzied morning here. Do you know what? We've got a great lineup for you. It's fantastic to see you all. And you've got myself, Steve Reynolds, and Jim Parker, of course, aka Statler and Waldorf from the Muppets, because today we're going on stage. Thankfully, Emily is going to keep us all together. And eventually we might actually get Martin Thomas joining us from Torbay Culture. But I'm so pleased that we have got Maureen McAllister, Operations Director from the Palace Theatre in Paignton. Wonderful to see you, Maureen. And of course, Lorraine Arnold, no stranger to the stage. Shakespeare, Chekhov, to Corrie and EastEnders, Greece, but you'll tell us all about that. And now Paignton, Pier, Chippy and Pier Point. So we're looking forward to seeing and hearing from you in a moment, Lorraine. How are you going in the kitchen, Jim? What have you been cooking up for us this week?
Part was the last challenge. It took me about 3 days to make it, Steve. Lots of encouragement from my mentor, Mrs. Parker, and It took me a week to load up on Facebook. So apart from that, all was well, really.
Excellent. And I just mentioned to our sponsors today, it's great. We could not be here without our sponsors. And thank you very much to David Rowe for stepping in with that. Now, if we've got Emily in the background somewhere, I'd like the next slide, please, because you can't do one of these calls without saying next slide, Emily. So thank you very much. Of course, Torbay Business Forum, those who've never tuned in before, wondering what on earth you've done. The Business Forum is brought together by a group of volunteer business people locally to concentrate on building infrastructure and skills for business. We bring businesses together socially and just to network. Now, the only thing we've got here is you can't actually talk to each other from across a breakfast table. I'm sorry about that. Normal service will be resumed as soon as we can get back to face-to-face contact. But in the meantime, we've got some more download for you. And if we could just talk about what's been going on in the Bay. Next slide, please, Emily. I've been talking over the past 8 weeks or 8 events, sorry, since the 7th of April when we started these, about the change curve. And when you look at where we've been with, we didn't want this to happen. There was resistance to it. This isn't happening. Then we have to start to explore how we're going to get out of this, and then the commitment to action. And today is very much about commitment to action because we've had some green lights go on. They're not quite as the way we would want them, but we've had some green lights coming. Now that change curve might come back if we've all got to start wearing face masks for everything we do, but we will get through this. We'll get through this together. So if I could have the next slide, please. Torbay is currently working very hard behind the scenes, and thanks to Torbay Council and the TDA, the new plan will be launched for the Respond, Recover and Reposition Torbay. It's about building better than we were before. It's about reinventing ourselves because we have to know that the new normal is different to the way we've always known it. In this plan, you will look at town centres. We look at the visitor economy, over £500 million that's worth to us. Carolyn may correct me on the figures. We would look at wealth building, keeping it local, buying local, supporting local businesses and making this a great place to live and work in and prosper. Growth, we have to go for growth. There's potentially 2,500 jobs are going to be lost as a result of this. What are we going to do with those 2,500 people and help them get new jobs, retrain them and get them moving again? And we'll look at skills and employment for that. But one big key element in all of this we all forget is that leisure time. It's culture development. We have a fantastic place to live and work in. We've got our own geopark on our doorsteps. We have 4 wonderful theatres. We have a myriad of entertainment and culture background, whether it's the Agatha Christie heritage, whether it's our heritage coast. So today we have got the lineup for the stage, because as a race we love to be entertained and to amuse ourselves and to be amused. And where would we be without culture? Maureen, the Palace Theatre in Paignton. What have you been doing while it's been dark?
Well, good morning, everybody, and welcome to the stage at the Palace Theatre in Paignton. It's nice to have an audience, although I'd much prefer you all seated comfortably in my auditorium, which is behind those curtains just there. For those of you who don't know, Deirdre and I set up a community interest company, a not-for-profit, 2 years ago to take over the management and operation of the theatre on a 25-year full repairing lease. Some people said we were mad and some people were correct. But in the last 2 years, we've really worked our socks off to bring the Palace Theatre into the 21st century, and boy, did it need that. We've improved the programme and the building. We've increased our audiences from 33% to over 54%, which is more than the national average for theatre audiences. We've created employment. We do have jobs here at the Palace Theatre, and we've built a space for creativity and so much more. We recently received an email recognising the way we've uplifted the town, and to quote it, it said, "I jest not in saying that your enterprise with the theatre has been one ray of sunshine for Paignton." So I'm delighted that we've brought some sunshine into this beautiful town. So our really hard work in the first 2 years has left us in a pretty strong position compared with other theatres that are already dealing with redundancies or closure. But like other businesses, it's still been a tough time for us here. Our team is furloughed and our programme's been rolled forward, which has been a nightmare, to be honest. Imagine developing a programme without the benefit of a crystal ball. We do hope that we'll be able to apply for a support package, which has just been announced, but it's a question of wait and see. And what we really want is some clear guidance on opening and indoor performances. At the moment, we can open our theatre, but we can't put on live performances, which is a little bit like asking a restaurant to open but not serve food. So until then, it's just talentless me on the stage, and not even my mother would pay to see that. So I'm going to pause and just imagine my audience laughing at that. So today I wanted to tell you about what we've been up to since our doors was closed. And whilst we may not be operating as normal, we've still been really busy. At the moment, there's a bunch of workmen having a tea break because I've had to come on early, and they're busy fitting air conditioning, and that will work in tandem with our natural airflow. So we're already investing so that we can make sure that the theatre is operating optimum standards when we open again. We're getting small and large meeting spaces together, office spaces, so those people that are working from home that might want to come and have meetings in a larger space with high ceilings and plenty of airflow around them, we're getting that ready. And we're also getting our ducks in a row for those who might want to tie the knot. So if you need to socially distance yourself for your wedding, where better than a 380-seater auditorium? Plenty of space for you all to move around then. We've also had a film company came in to record a short film for Prince EA. And if you don't know who that is, then just ask your nearest teenager, because mine was really impressed and I got some massive mommy brownie points. And we've also won a social media award, which we're really pleased about. And we're waiting to see that in the new Torbay Weekly. So not forgetting our audiences and those who have really become our extended family. So we say our Moira, our Audrey, our Heather and our Kevin, and those people that are really important to us, but we've also realised and we know we play an important role in their lives. So we're regularly staying in touch with them. So Heather, who's 91, asked us if she could come and visit us because she was missing us so much. And I said to her, you can come to the theatre, but you're not coming in. You can stand outside. We want to protect you as much as we can. So she came in for a socially distanced chat and she sat on our front steps, but that was after she'd been for her morning swim in the sea. We've also got our first live screened event on the 7th of August. I hope you're all writing this down, which is a magic show. So you can join a magic show that we're hosting virtually, and it should be fantastic. Several other theatres have done it and they contacted us to see whether we wanted to put one on as well. But we're still a closed theatre. We're still waiting for the day that someone shouts action. Hopefully not right now because I'm not prepared. And we're still selling tickets, but we're not selling as many tickets as we were. And when we do sell a ticket, when I see a ticket come through on the email, I celebrate wildly and I drink wine and I dance on the table, regardless of what time it is. So please do make me drink wine and dance on the table, and have a look on our website because we've got some really great performances coming up once we can open our doors. Although funnily enough, we had a call from a holiday maker last week who said, I'm coming down next week, what have you got on? We've also received support from many donations. We've had grants from the Arts Council, from Torbay Council and from Literature Works. And this money has been to support projects. And that's what I wanted to really tell you about if I've still got time. I'd like to tell you about 3 fabulous projects that we're working on, which I think that the business community would want to get involved in. So here we go. Number 1, Poems from the Palace. And this idea was formed during a socially distanced chat on my front drive with Alan Denby a few months ago. I was painting my wall and he said, you've missed a bit, which then led us to talk about things that we could do. So we're asking businesses and community groups to video themselves reciting a poem. And we then promote this and the business who provided it on our social media platforms. And we bring some entertainment then to our audiences. And we show Torbay's got talent, which is fantastic. And at the end of this, we hope to have a charity event where these poems will be performed and we'll be able to give the money to a children's literacy charity, if I could say that would be great. The project's going on and we've collaborated with so many different people. Doorstep Arts, Bayes Brewery, Wonder Pantomimes, the libraries, Bijou, a whole range of organisations have already done poems. So if you haven't given us a poem yet, Torbay Business Forum, Steve, Jim, then what are you waiting for? If you look at our Palace Theatre YouTube channel, and again, if you don't know how to get onto that, then ask a teenager, because we have one here who showed you how to work it. You can see the poems that we've already received, and you will be inspired and you will want to get involved because they are hilarious. Bayes Breweries was a cracker. The second project that we're working on is called Finding Your Feet, and this is where we're providing a space within the theatre for people to come in and just to spend some time when they've been locked up in their homes. And this is for the older members of the community, so 65 plus, who want to reconnect, and they'll be working with workshop leaders, and they'll be working in our big stage left area. And this will be things like socially distanced tea dancing, gentle movement, dance exercise, and all of the things that they need for their mental and physical well-being. And we've already had one of the dance teachers in, filming herself on the stage to then project to them to get them ready to move in. So we want to be able to use the big space to let these smaller groups come together and get to know each other again. And then finally, I will stop in a moment, I promise. We were really impressed when we first closed down with the work of the local charities as the crisis began, and we felt really useless at the theatre. We were dealing with our own issues, but we couldn't find a way to help. So we couldn't offer our spaces because we weren't allowed to have people in. You know, a couple of packets of sweets that were going out of date wasn't really what we wanted to do because we are a community theatre. So where the fabulous food parcels have made sure that people don't go hungry, we wanted to find a way to feed people's souls and make a positive impact on their mental well-being. So we've created Theatre Angels. And Theatre Angels will provide valuable cultural experiences for those who have been disenfranchised by COVID-19, those who are vulnerable, those who are in financial crisis, and not forgetting frontline workers who have really been leading the charge on the wards and in care homes. What we'll do with Theatre Angels is we'll provide free or heavily discounted tickets for shows and performances for this group. And we hope through this programme that we will be able to help up to 60 families or individuals a year and give them some theatre magic or attend an activity here at no cost whatsoever. We're going to ask our performers to give us some free tickets where they can. We're changing our donation button on our website. So at the moment, if you book a ticket on our website, you can donate towards the theatre. We're changing that now to say, would you like to support the Theatre Angels? Would you like to play this forward and contribute? And also we'll have collection buckets outside of performances to gather fund for the Theatre Angels once we can have a performance on the stage. So, in the spirit of inspiring Torbay and the spirit of Torbay together, I'm hoping that our story has inspired you all to become guardian angels, to support the theatre and this project. If businesses wanted to be a guardian angel, you could give a family a theatre experience by donating as little as £20 a year. Imagine if you all did this. Imagine the smiles and the joy you would bring to those who would not normally be able to enjoy the magic that theatre brings. And I can tell you, my theatre's shut and I'm gutted, but I'm standing on my stage today and I can feel the magic and the energy of this building, and I can imagine how fantastic it is. I can remember how fantastic it is, and I can remember what it means to me and what it does to me. So I'm saying to you guys, why don't you become guardian angels? Why don't you support people to have this magical experience and to have this joy? And you'd be helping yourselves too, because you'd receive a range of benefits from the theatre, and we're the most fabulous place on earth. And you'd also have the ability to call yourself a guardian angel, and who wouldn't want to do that? So if you can't do that, then send us your verse and give our audiences a treat with talented Torbay, or book a ticket to one of our shows. Just keep in touch with us. Don't forget that you've got a fantastic theatre. She's been here since 1890, and I'm really sure that she's going nowhere. She's staying right here because we're 100% sure that the show will go on, and I promise you it won't be me performing, it will be somebody much better. Thank you very much.
Well, that is fantastic, Maureen. Excuse me, I'm beginning to choke up. I'm sorry, I'm filling up. I will become a guardian angel. I am sure the forum will produce your poem, a poem for you, should we say. They don't know it yet, but we will, okay? So, one has already been selected. Jim and I were going to do a rendition of The Boy Stood on the Burning Deck, but I don't think that was going to be appropriate. But we will do something for you, and we will support you. The first time I met you, Maureen, I was as a judge, wasn't I, for the Tourism Awards. Are you still speaking to me?
Well, kind of. We deserve gold, but we'll do with silver this time.
And it was well deserved. So but yeah, it was great to meet you and see you there in your house, because what a wonderful place is. And the next thing I'm going to announce as well, I was thinking about it last night, it was a bit late to do it today, but our next forum breakfast bites will be from your stage live. How about that? Yeah,
fantastic.
Hey, you ready to go on the road, Jim?
We'll get some soft lighting for you, Jim. You'll be fine.
Yeah, if hopefully Jim won't be able to bring his pots and pans if you've got some there already, but yeah, but I think it would be great to actually do it live from your stage, and looking forward to that, which will be in the second Tuesday. No, it won't. It'll be the first Tuesday of August, and then we'll be doing the third Tuesday for the next event after that. So 1890, that is quite a heritage, isn't it? Well, that building there's. And it was a theatre from the start, or was it something else? It
was a municipal hall. I always worry that I've given people the wrong day when I say that, but it's definitely. I'll get a text from Deirdre in a minute telling me I've given you the wrong date.
It was author's license today, so anything we say is allowed. And what do you think about the drive at the moment to help people in the arts that are they are struggling, aren't they? The latest song that's been released.
Yeah, I mean, I think that's the important thing. You know, there's a lot of people involved in the arts, and the arts are the widest possible sector. And it's really important because a lot of those people are self-employed or they're freelancers, and they move with bands that are traveling around, for example, or with touring theatre. So, you know, it's supporting the buildings, which is hugely important. I mean, I'm standing in one now, and you know, the support will be welcomed and we will need it. But it's also all of those people. I mean, I'm on the phone to our performers, you know, regularly, and emails from them regularly, and they're really struggling because they, and to hear that they can, that theatres can open, but they actually can't perform in them is just like the worst thing.
Yeah.
And so many people are missing so many fantastic experiences. I mean, Doorstep Arts, for example, that come in here and they deal with kids from 1 to 18, and you know, they just haven't, those young people haven't been able to get together, and they need to do that. People need to be able to get together again.
Maureen, what you're doing there is fantastic. Your drive and your passion for the theatre is admirable. Thank you so much. Occasionally I enjoy treading the boards, so I'm in some ways a bit shy and retiring, as you know, but I'm looking forward to joining you there. And if anybody's listening, please, you know, download the single Tomorrow, Marisha Wallace. It's beautiful, and I think it will help support the industry. It's an industry, a very important industry, so thank you. Now, Jim, I think it's time to move to you, because I don't want you dozing off in the corner there. You've got someone to introduce, a star to introduce to us today. Do you want to tell us about it? You could come off mute if you like as well. It's going well, folks. Good morning. Come to you in a moment, Lorraine. There's Jim. Are you on, Jim?
Can you hear me?
Yes.
Yeah, but I've got a very interesting lady called Lorraine Arnold joining us today, Steve, from the Paint and Pier chippy company, but with a really colourful background, which is full of culture and fits in really well with the theme of this morning's Breakfast Bites. So Lorraine Arnold, looking forward to speaking to Lorraine later on this morning. Yeah.
Well, actually, Jim, we've got a little bit of connectivity problem this morning. We always have one, folks, and this is the trouble. Never work with, was it children, animals, and the internet, I think is the problem. Martin Thomas at the moment has got a bit of a technical hitch and isn't able to join us at this point. So I'm going to cue Jim and introduce Lorraine. Take it away.
Okay. All right. Hello, hi, Lorraine. Are you there?
We can always hope we can unmute as well, couldn't we?
You're unmuted, Lorraine.
Thank you. Yes, I'm here.
Hi, good morning. How are you?
Yeah, I'm well, thank you.
Okay, brilliant. Now, we've been talking about the stage, and Maureen, that was brilliant to hear your passion about the palace, by the way. And we've got a couple of stories which will be in the weekly, I promise, and we'll do a poem. Whatever you want, I'll do, okay? Lorraine, culture and your background, really hugely interesting from a career point of view, from the West End to the soaps. Can you tell us a bit about your career?
Yeah, first of all, I just want to say, Maureen, what an amazing, fantastic your job that you're doing there at the Palace. I think it's incredible. In any way I can get involved, if I ever have a minute for you, I really, really would love to. Obviously, it's my passion. I have a kind of a parallel passion, one being business and the other one being the arts, obviously with my career. But Maureen, I think you're doing an absolutely fantastic job down there, I really do, and my heart breaks for you, the situation that you found yourself in, as it does for lots and lots of friends of mine in the industry who are just not working. It's really, really heartbreaking, and they can't get any money either, which is heartbreaking also. But yes, I very colourful. I found myself here in Torbay 5 years ago, but prior to that, like you said, I'd done West End, I'd done some telly, I lived abroad in Greece where I set up the English theatre called Foo there, which is still running, which is great. Yeah, so you'd say, how did you go from that to frying chips? Well, to be fair, quite happily. I love it. From one great industry to another, it really is a really, really fantastic industry as well. Lots and lots of characters.
Yeah, and you'll find lots in Torbay. That's a dead cert. But just going, you're not going to get away with the soaps bit, because I find that really interesting. I like Corrie. I don't like EastEnders, I must admit, but I find it a little bit entertaining. So, what parts did you play, and when was it in EastEnders and Corrie, Lorraine?
So we're going back 10 years before I went over to Greece, but around about 2008, I got, did I get Corrie first? Or I can't remember which one I got first. I think it was Corrie. I'd been for a couple of auditions for one of the main characters, which I didn't get. But then I got an audition for a midwife who was to deliver one of the babies, which happened to be a false alarm. She was pregnant with some murderer in there at the time, but it was a false alarm. But I had some lovely scenes with Sally and at the bedside there, and the actress called Samira Hayam, who went out of it for a little while and came back, and she was pregnant then. It was all a false alarm, but there were some lovely scenes there. Very nice little family unit that they have there as well at Coronation Street. It was in the old studios before they moved. EastEnders was a slightly different. That I was, it was part of the Christmas special when Honey, they had a Down syndrome baby, Honey, and I can't remember his name now, which is terrible. So it's part of the Christmas special where I was the social worker coming in to take the baby off them, that they'd asked, they were giving their baby up. So I was the foster mother, going to be the foster mother. So I came in to take away their baby on, I think it went for Christmas Eve or somehow, very sad. So that was EastEnders.
Yeah, that was a very sad road. Do you still watch the shows now? Well, you haven't got time in your current capacity, I suppose, have you? Do you still watch the shows?
I don't get time. I'm the only one that's saying, what lockdown? Everybody else is couldn't wait. I'm like, can I get a break at any point shortly? Because we took Pierpoint on the 2nd of March, we bought that. And of course, we couldn't get it open at all, but we were working frantically to try to get open as quickly as possible to try and get the Easter, but no one predicted the lockdown, of course. So during that time, until we reopened last week, I obviously, with the painter, with the chippy there, I was frantically trying to get that open, which we did with the Click and Collect. So I didn't really get any downtime at all, to be fair. And we have the little candy bar there, the ice cream parlour Turtle down in Torquay. So
Okay,
I've been busy.
Yeah, sorry, go on.
I say, so I've been busy. Yeah. And so this is quite nice, actually, to just sit and not do anything for a minute, for an hour.
Jim, can I ask a question, please?
Yeah.
Lorraine, I'm particularly impressed by the Paint and Pier chippy, because it happens to be about 200 meters from my mother-in-law's place. She's 86, and I have to say, your fish and chips were the first outdoor meal that she had since the start of lockdown, and it was wonderful. We are now repeat regular customers, and I love the app. I think that's a lesson to a lot of businesses.
Yeah, fantastic. Thank you. Yeah. Thank you. But we, what I set out, whenever I'm going to do something, I want to do it right. That's just, and I mean, that comes from a theatre background anyway, because that's instilled in you, perfection, yes. Strive for perfection. So I bring that in anything I'm doing. I strive for it. We don't always achieve it, but we strive for it. So it's very important to me. When we opened the chippy, I didn't just want to be, a chippy on a pier. I wanted to be award winning. I wanted to be the best fish, MSC, the best potatoes going. We use the best raw ingredients that we can, whilst remaining accessible. So we're not overpriced. People can come and have a fish and chip meal. So that was really important to me. And we done that really very quickly, because if you know what you want and then you just go for it, it happens. It will happen quickly. I've got a great team behind me, a fantastic team behind me on all the sides, who really want to do well, who really are proud of what we do. And I hope that the new takeaway that we've created, because it was just a wall at Pier Point, will be just as successful as Painted Pier. And by the way, Maureen, I couldn't have lost to a better man, if you like, when we did the tourism awards. So I was quite happy with that. I was like, yeah, well deserved. So, you know, there was no hard feeling.
We've got 2 silver girls. There we are. That's great.
We'll get you next time. No, I hope I don't ever actually. No, I love the Princess Theatre. So yeah, going back to Painted Pier Chippy, which was my first, well, my second little baby there. But also, by the way, Maureen, have you thought about, I was just hearing you talking about your performers who can't get on. What an idea it would be to liaise with the pier if I speak to Henry, and maybe we could get some of you guys coming doing some community theatre along the pier. You can't sit in the theatre, but your troupe could be kind of on the pier doing some kind of entertainment, because they're getting a little bit busier now they're open, maybe on the back there on the children's area. I don't know, it's a thought.
We have been thinking about outdoor performances. We don't produce anything. As I said, I am zero talent. So people bring us performances. We've got a performance that we really want to do in August. We really want to know by the 16th of August that we will be able to have the Zoots on our stage, because they are incredible. And I'm trying everything to think about how we could do it, whether we did it outdoors, how we would manage it, whether the audience would be big enough, etc., etc. So at the moment, we'll talk to anybody about any idea, but it's just whether we're allowed to do it, whether they're allowed to sing. So we'll definitely speak to you about it.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, I think it's really good.
I think that's a great idea. And I think Mr. Reynolds might want to play a part in that. At the end of the pier show with Steve Reynolds, that would be really good, I think, wouldn't it? So anything I can do to help with that, that'd be brilliant. What a superb idea. Lorraine, it's that sort of outside the box thinking that's got you where you are, I think. Before you arrived in Torbay, it was Greece and the bars over there, wasn't it?
It certainly was. Corfu. And I mean, I arrived there right smack bang at the very start of their crisis, the huge financial crisis, which was the worst one since even before World War II, World War One. Horrendous. But and I chose 2010 to open a bar, which wasn't the best, but best idea. But I did, as I said, I did create with a friend of mine, John Vincent Dryden, English Theatre Corfu, because there wasn't one. So and we produced quite a lot of good quality stuff, even though I say so for myself. We had some great talent wherever you are in the world. You know, some people just think there's this little bubble in London, and it's not. Every town in the country, everywhere you go, there's talent everywhere you go, and they just need to be cherry picked and drawn out of themselves, like what Maureen's doing with the poetry, etc. Lots of little stars lurking all over the country there are.
Yeah. I agree totally. So how did you end up with the Peyton Pier, Chippy, then, from Greece to Peyton Pier? How did that happen?
Okay, so it was time for me to return to the UK in my head. Also, I was skint. I don't mind telling you. It was skint. It was time to come back. Luckily, I had a friend of mine, Henry, who owns the pier. He said, why don't you come and run the back of the pier for me? There's some children's rides on there, trampolines and the little kiosk and everything. And it's just what you need to kickstart you back. I was like, yeah, fantastic, great. So I turned that into £100,000 turnover within the first year, which I think was almost doubling what they were originally doing. And second year, again, was very successful. We put the Alta Sculpture on there, if you remember. And then I had the opportunity to take over the front, the cafe at the front, which I don't think was reaching its full potential. And I said, oh my God, I would definitely love to take it on. But as a fish and chip shop, there is no fish and chip shop on the seafront. It doesn't make sense. People come to the seaside to have a bag of fish and chips. And but it had to, for me, it had to be traditional fish and chips done in the traditional way, not frozen, nothing frozen, nothing substandard. So that's what we did. I went to chippy school, as I call it. My team will go to chippy school. In fact, I've been to 2 or 3 different chippy schools. I believe, you know, to be the best, learn from the best. I have the best fish and chip shop in the country, Winners, Crispies. They've been in and done in shop seminars. I'm a member of the NFFF. We have the Q Award, and just striving for that perfection. But for me, it was about, you know, if you produce good quality products, then people will come back. People will come back, and we've seen that, and steadily in the last, I can't believe I've only had that for about 2.5 years. It feels like an awful lot longer, but we have built up really nice local following, which is fantastic. Really is. And it's I get really emotional when I talk about the chip in. I'll tell you for why. Because 3 months after we opened, you might all know, it burnt down.
Yeah. I was going to say that.
It just, you know, we just spent £200,000 on refurbishing it, and it burnt down, and that was a massive lesson learned. I mean, who knew batter bits? You know, your batter bits, they spontaneously combust if they've got an igniter. Well, as I said, I'd been to school, I'd done all the right thing, checklists in place, but you can't account for human error. So that was devastating. I was ready to hand the keys in and say, I don't know what else to do. I'd done everything properly. But in fact, what we did is what we usually do is grab the team in from all over the country, our shop fitters from York and our electrician from Hastings, and then our local team of decorators and cleaners, etc. And we were in there 24/7, and we got open 5 days later for the air show, which was really important to me. And we got open, and we're still here. So I'm very, very proud of the team for that. Very, very proud.
It's an amazing story. And you won awards already at Payne, haven't you?
Yeah, the first year we got top 3 best newcomer in the country. Very proud of that. We got bronze in the tourism awards, and then last year we got 2 top 3 awards for the good catch. As I say, we only use MSC card, which is really important to me as well. Sustainability. If you're in this industry, then you know, try and preserve it as much as you can for future generations. Let the industry continue. And you can only do that by following good practice. You can only do that by using sustainable raw ingredients. So that's really important to me. Now, since we've got Pierpoint, what my mission there is going to be, obviously the takeaway will run in the same vein as St. Pier Chippy Co. This is Pierpoint Chippy Co. But we also obviously have the bar and restaurant. Now that's going to run slightly different in that I use a local butcher. I want to use the day boats from Brixton. It's not viable in the fish and chip shop, but it is in the restaurant. So that's very much something that we're going to do. That's very much on my agenda. Obviously the lockdown, some of our plans have had to change, but certainly all of that doesn't change. And the local produce and everything, we're very much working closely with Chef that we will be, eventually that's our agenda. We're only going to be using locally sourced produce where possible. That's really important to me.
And I think that ties in really well with Keep It Local Torbay campaign, which we're trying to get off the ground with the forum and TDA and community wealth building locally. That is really the way ahead. A lot of people would have closed their doors for good, Lorraine, and not moved across the bay and bought Pierpoint to run that. How's Pierpoint going? And why did you decide that? Why didn't you just jack it in and go and sit in the garden somewhere and put your feet up? Why would you go and open up Pierpoint after seeing your Payne Chippy burn down?
Yeah, because I don't do that. We keep going. You can't just jack it in.
How's Pierpoint going at the moment? Good?
Pierpoint's great. I took the decision. I'm a big believer, if you can't do it properly, don't do it. So we opened on Saturday. We struggled in the week. I didn't have a big enough team. We struggled, and people were waiting too long. The food was coming out great, but people were waiting too long. It's important to me. I know that it had its reputation for service before was a little bit on the low side, so I wanted for that not to happen. And I took that decision on Saturday. I closed the kitchen Saturday night, despite baby impact. But I took that decision because if we can't do it properly, then don't do it. So we closed the kitchen Saturday. We're just running drinks out all day Sunday and yesterday, and the same again today. I've got a couple of the team have gone already, but I've got lots and lots of new people who started already that trained up Sunday, trained up Monday, and again today. And then I'll reintroduce some of the menu tomorrow and Thursday, and then we're good to go Friday, fighting fit, ready for the weekend again, and bring the full menu back. But you know, the thing is to recognise when something's wrong, deal with it rather than running around like a headless chicken. It's it's more stressful. It's better to just stop, take a minute, see what's going wrong, and then address it.
Absolutely. Yes, Steve.
Jim, sorry if I can dip in there. We've been trying to get Martin back. We're hoping he might be able to join on the telephone. But I was going to ask Lorraine, are you still have your plans to go upstairs at Pierpoint?
Absolutely. If you go on the Torbay Council website, you will see the new plans that we've submitted, very different from the plans that were agreed 2 years ago by Torbay Council for the previous owners. Very, very different. But still on 2 floors. Beautiful building that we want to create there.
Okay. Well, if I'm gonna cut in, if you don't mind, I really appreciate. Thanks, Jim, for bringing Lorraine to us, because you know, really useful to have extra contacts and seeing somebody live and kicking in the bay. I think that is the best way to describe it. Fighting against all odds. Any other thing you can think of that we can bring in, Lorraine, you're doing a fantastic job. Thank you for that, and hopefully you can help inspire others to do the same as we thrive. Not just survive, let's thrive and move on. And Maureen, what you're doing there is fantastic as well. And Martin has, you'd be surprised what's going on in the back. Be surprised what, hello?
Hi, hello.
Oh gosh, we have him. We actually have
I am so sorry about this, everyone, and it's really weird doing this by phone, and I'm sorry I've mucked up Lorraine and Maureen's running order and yours, Steve. I don't know what occurred.
Say sorry. I could say sorry. Who is that? You know, but I know it's Martin. Sorry, wrong number.
Wrong number. I think what Lorraine just said about don't flap just when things go wrong. I've been sitting here trying not to flap.
yes, yeah. You should see my legs going under the table here. But Emily, poor Emily's been trying to find you, and I think are you on some desert island somewhere? Is that what you've done? You've emigrated?
No, this is what Alan's going to think. He's going to think I've pushed off to Guadeloupe during lockdown because he's not seen me for so long. Yeah, I'm not sure if you want me to say anything. I'm very sorry. And I had certain things I was going to say, which I'll just cut to the chase. And Maureen may well have picked up a lot of these things already. I think what I said last summer was I talked about last summer how engaging with culture it's not a solitary event. And by that I mean sport, heritage, whatever you like. It's always about some people coming together. And of course, the biggest thing over the last 4 months has been we've not been allowed to come together. And yet we've seen the best of things. We've seen how different types of culture and creativity have used digital media, but there's a digital poverty as well in the Bay. And I think one of the messages I was wanted to share was, and I'm sure this has been picked up already, but there's been such a really positive response from people in the Bay in different communities. And what I'm really hoping is that we hold on to that as we go through the recovery and the rethinking. It applies to people working across culture and tourism industries. The other thing I wanted to say was really just to make sure that we we remember the human impact of all of this. I know it sounds a bit obvious, but there's so much excitement about trying to reopen and get things back on track, that knowing that we're going to have to do this at different speeds and stages because of all the different difficulties we've got. For example, theatres still having lots of restrictions on them compared to other spaces is really important. Obviously, there's been a lot of press about the government's announcement for lots of funding to support culture and heritage, which is really positive, but the big challenge is making sure that some of that support gets to places like ours, coastal areas, areas with real challenges. And actually, Maureen and I are going to be talking to Kevin Foster next week about how do we make sure that in Whitehall people are listening to the local needs, because it's not just about it's not only saving big organisations, it's about saving organisations that make a difference for local people. And I don't know how much time I've got, Steve, but there are a couple of other things I could share with people.
Yes,
if that's okay.
please.
So obviously I'm just tracing all of this down because of the timing. But so there are several things really that we're doing. One of the things is we've set up a Create to Recover programme with a bit of Arts Council support. So we're going to be supporting 9 projects across the Bay with artists or creative people doing projects that support, if you like, reanimating cultural tourism in the Bay and engaging with local communities. We were massively oversubscribed, so there's a lot of people we've had to disappoint, but we will at least be able to do something to help and make sure that people start getting out there in responsible, safe ways, using all sorts of different creative activity, and we'll share more about that in due course. We've been working very closely with the Arts Council and the Heritage Fund to help make sure they understand the local issues here as they make their decisions. And also we've been working through certain other pieces of work while we've been in lockdown, making sure all the sort of culture, health and wellbeing projects, that report was published just this week, which is really quite groundbreaking. And I think that's important looking to the future, and also being involved in the Heritage Strategy Review with colleagues, because that will provide the Council with, I hope, a really positive framework to look at how we make more of our built heritage in the Bay as well. I was going to just close with 2 observations, and I'd said, and I'm so sorry because this probably sounds maybe not what everybody wants to hear in the morning, but I've always talked about how we need to be positive and we need to think creatively about the solutions we all face. And I've been using as a mantra for the last 4 months an artist I knew called Walter Bockhorn, who always said, you have to make beauty in dark times. This was my intro line for Maureen because I was going to give her a big build up, but there you go. She can have it post speech. But the point is, he always said, you have to make beauty in dark times. And he talked about this when he was losing his sight, which I always thought was really interesting, because there was somebody who was losing his vision, but he didn't lose his, if you like, his other type of vision, which is his humanity. So I just think if we hold on to that spirit, if we bottle it, then, you know, that applies to people regardless of their interest and regardless of culture or tourism. It applies to everybody who's trying to run a business and keep going in these times. That's all.
Well, Martin, it is good to hear from you. I'm sorry we've had the connectivity issues, because it'd be lovely to see you. But I remember you came and spoke to us, I think it was 29th of November at the Riviera Centre for the breakfast. And you spoke, I don't know, 25 minutes, half an hour, and you had people transfixed. I remember you showed a video about culture in the Bay, and that was superb. And it would be lovely to reprise that one, show that at some stage again.
Yeah, we will happily do that. But you know what, Steve? The best thing about this is my gran said is I've got a great face for radio, so this is much better.
Sorry. Well, the good thing is we can actually see you centre stage in our Torbay Business Forum sponsors page there with Conroy Couch today.
Oh, no.
So that sounds like something for the Grand Ole Opry, don't I? So, could you just tell us a little about some of the maybe some of the heritage sites in the Bay? I mean, I've seen a comment about reopening of old way tea rooms today, and I don't know if that's your bag, but
no, it's not something we're involved in directly. There's been a lot of obviously one of the plans before the pandemic was to start doing projects at Old Way. So as you know, Old Way's been a long, complicated story for lots of reasons, and obviously people are very passionate about it. I can only offer an observation as somebody who's lived here for a long while. So Torbay Culture isn't directly involved in things with Oldway because it's still owned by the council, but there's a new independent trust that's been set up, and Darren Cowell, who's the deputy leader of the council, is involved with that. What we have done is we've allocated a small amount of money to help support the governance model, if you like, of that new trust, and we're working with the council on that. But there were several plans to do certain sort of open days and tester days at Oldway, and obviously all of that got paused. I wasn't aware of the reopening of the tea rooms today, but I know that what they've done at Oldway is gather together a great amount of local community interest in the gardens, for example. There are plans, I hope I'm not going off script here, but I do know that the aspiration is to make an application to the Heritage Fund to look at the future of Oldway. There was a bid last year and it was unsuccessful, but it was very competitive. But, you know, I believe passionately that Oldway does have a future. There have been all sorts of reasons that have, if you like, got in the way of making that go forward. And actually the Heritage Strategy Review, I think, when we get through that process, will actually provide a really good way of looking at it. So certainly, because when we talk to the public, Oldway is one of those top 3 things that people always talk about. So, you know, in the most difficult times, sometimes something positive can come out of this. And, you know, we were on a call yesterday with the council about the Vigilance, the historic sailing vessel in Brixham, which also is looking to heritage funding. And everybody's plans have been put back. But, you know, if we use this enforced pause on us creatively, then maybe we can, you know, find a better way of getting these things back in operation. But it might just take an awful lot longer than we hoped. But, you know, I believe there's progress to be had.
Yeah, thank you. The reason I mentioned it because I did see on Twitter this morning, there was a lovely picture of Oldway in the sunshine, and there is the headline is reopening of Oldway tea rooms. So slightly off script for yourself, I know, but there's a crowdfunder going on where we are planning to reopen Oldway tea rooms to be run by volunteers for Friends of Oldway, initially as a takeaway as regulations allow. And at the moment, they've got £5,742 towards their £7,500 target. I think everybody on this call, if you could see it in your hearts to find a couple of quid and throw it towards that crowdfund, that would be lovely to get some life back into Oldway of some sort. And I think from small baby steps, small beginnings, it can grow from that. So
absolutely, because it's so, you know, there's so many people's memories associated with it, whether it's marriages, special occasions, people becoming citizens there. You know, there's generations of people who've got really important memories of Oldway.
Yeah, no, that was it'd be lovely to watch this space, and let's hope that some things will come. I know there's some grassroots stuff to sort out first, maybe, but we have to actually look at some of the gloss as well to make it a place to want to be in and to improve, to thrive. So Martin, how's your? Is it 1 year in role? Is it so far?
18 months in.
18 months.
So it's been busy. It's been busy, and we've had lots to do. But there's lots of you know, and quite a lot of some of the work we do is visible, and some of the work is, if I say it's less visible. So it's things like the Torbay Great Place Audience Research, which doesn't sound the most snappy title, but it's really valuable because we published that just a few weeks before lockdown, and what it did was look at what audiences want, need, how they engage with different places, 10 different locations and events, including the Palace Theatre. So there's really valuable knowledge that we've gathered with partners to understand what it is that people want, because lots of people make assumptions, say, oh, but this is what people want, this is what people want. Well, we went out there and we tried to find out what it is that people really wanted and what they'd engage with, and that, I hope, those things can act as really useful tools for, you know, organisations and partners in the Bay to be more resilient and to survive in the future. So yeah, there's a lot of different things. You can find out more about our work on our website, torbayculture.org. But of course, you know, when the technology is working, when I know what button I'm pressing, I'd be really happy to talk more about things as you need, Steve. Happy to.
Well, It would be lovely to see you in person. You talk about being visible and not visible there. That was quite apt, wasn't it? But
Yeah.
I just brought back in, sorry
Yeah.
you can't see this, Martin, but thank you for joining us. But I've just brought
Yeah.
back in Emily, who I think
sure.
over the last 40 minutes has brought us all together. So you're fighting the technology. You've done brilliantly. So thank you for that. We wouldn't
Thank
be
you,
here,
Emily.
folks, if it wasn't. If we wouldn't be here for these, this is 8 of these. If Emily and Alan Denby hadn't spoken and then come to me to suggest these events, yeah, none of this would have happened. So it's great. We're all in this together. I'm a great believer of build it, they will come. So let's hope we'll keep doing that. We're going to go to the Palace Theatre on, is it August the 4th? Is that the right date? Have I got the right date, Em? Yes, thank you.
That's it.
Yeah, August the 4th.
Our diary's
check
quite
that.
full.
Check diaries. Can't see my diary. We're going to go there because at the moment, as we're coming out of lockdown, we're sort of treading out of the shadows tentatively. The Chancellor confirmed the furlough scheme will end in October. So we have got to get people back out of their living rooms, out of their houses and back into the workplace. The jobs retention bonus will be introduced so that businesses bringing people back from furlough can claim up to £1,000 if they're still there in January. So that's a little bit of a short window, but we've got to keep this going. There's the £2 billion Kickstart scheme to help create job placements for 16 to 24-year-olds. So I think there's a lot that we can do there and encourage employment locally. The great news about VAT being cut from tomorrow from 20 to 5% on the hospitality sector. Now that has got to help. And I think it will be interesting to see what that does either in pricing or inflation or, if nothing else, profit retention. I've just actually reopened a bar after being closed since the 20th of March. And I know that we had 5 staff and 6 customers on day one. The economics don't add up on that way, but getting people back, getting the provision right is what it's all about. I'm really pleased that we've survived today. Got through what has been a really interesting group. Thank you for being our panel. And I'm going to thank Jim. I'm not going to play that one, but I'm going to play something else for you. And I want to thank our sponsor today, Conroy Couch. I want to thank all our sponsors for making this possible. And I'm going to fade out, I think, today, thanking Jim. We like a song. We're going to be on stage. We're going to be doing our poems. Jim and I will perform something. We'll be there. And keep your hat on and say thanks for playing. Keep your smiles. And thank you so much, Lorraine, Maureen and Martin. We'll see you all soon. Have a great day.
Thank you. Cheers.
Bye, everyone.
Bye.
I'm stuck with a day.